I think professional rugby does the same thing as soccer a lot. You've got your ads on the outer boards that go around. You've got sponsorships on some of the jerseys, things like that. Like Europe's lapping everybody on this ad revenue stuff where, yeah, okay, America has communism or not communism, commercialism and capitalism, but everybody else is able to do what they need to do to make money and still create a good product, which America still hasn't figured out somehow outside of the NFL.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to say about the way basketball, baseball, football, the way that's set up and the way you can cut away and take TV timeouts, but the scheduling TV timeouts, that's kind of old. The Super Bowl has been bogged down with,
Awful ads.
yeah.
Awful. They've been so bad.
But like UFC, I feel like is the one that comes to mind when I'm thinking of this. But where they do like the double box and they like the fight is still going on one part of your screen, but then you got like an ad or something that pops up in the corner or something.
They do it with
Do more of
library.
that. Do
Great.
more of that or something because like the you got a good point, and I'm not the type of person that's going to click away just because I'm not watching active play at that time because I'm more of a true fan type of person. But for the layman viewers, I think that's a good point.
And that's some of the reasons why I I don't like baseball. I feel like a lot of people could like baseball, speed up the play, let everybody do roids so that you can get home runs, takes away from the game. I don't care. You need more scoring, you need more excitement. The NBA has honestly, it's a really great product. It takes 82 games and the games take way too long. A basketball game should not take it. You got four 15-minute quarters. That's 60 minutes. It shouldn't take more than 2 hours to get through a basketball game, including your
I don't
timeouts
think
and your
I don't
halftimes.
think
Two and a
I
half
don't
hours.
think that they're gonna alter the game that way. I feel like shortening in the NBA season also makes a whole lot of sense. 82 games for me is too long. You can't shorten it by a whole lot, but something to get the rest load management crap out of the game so people are
Take
seeing the
20
stars
games out.
play. And I yeah.
You could take 20 games out and you could do a shortened tournament. You could do a play-in tournament before you get to the playoffs, or however you want to do. You could do an in season tournament for whatever you wanted to make it for, and that could add you at most 7 games for the winning teams or for the teams that go to the finals, 7 total games, or if you wanted to do best of threes throughout the whole thing, however you wanted to do it, that could add you a ton more games, yet still keep the pace of the regular season moving. Like there's a million different ways that you could go about it and still cut games for the actual season itself.
You're going too far for the people that are making money in the big office jobs. They're not gonna take that much revenue loss. They're missing. They're gonna keep the 7 game series in the playoffs and all that.
No,
You're
no, I
you're
wasn't talking
taking
about the playoffs. I was saying cut like if they play 80, it's an 82 game season. You take away 20 games and you have 62 games
I
for
know, but
regular
you
season.
also you also said in there like the
No, 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 create an in season tournament, and that's where you have best of three instead of seven. Then you still have the postseason, but this in season tournament is best of three.
yeah. Well, also in a previous conversation, you alluded to shortening the amount
Oh,
of
oh yeah,
games in
I
series
have
and playoffs.
that too. That'd be fine with that.
You'd be taking too much from the big guys.
They make too much money.
They'll put you in a grave before this catches too much fire.
They would. They probably just wouldn't listen to it. Um, we talked about how the NFL is kind of leading the way in doing the box and box outside of obviously the combat sports, because boxing does it very eloquently as well as soccer does. Um, NFL's revenue is skyrocketing. Uh, Patrick Mahomes' deal has been restructured. Yet the Kansas City Chiefs still sit, I believe, we're currently at about 10 million under the cap.
It's a beautiful thing, and for the rest of his career, for Pat, it's not going to be about money. You're going to have to pay at least around the top five quarterbacks in the NFL, sure, but I mean, we've got him locked up for a while. But like, if Pat's still playing at a certain time and he wants to win, like Pat, it's not going to be about money for Pat, and he's just, I mean, all the other deals that he's got, like he's not hurting for money. He's not worried about that. He's worried about winning.
Owns two soccer teams.
He's worried about winning, and he's just he's the
Why do you
perfect
think
type
he
of player
signed
to
that?
have
What
here.
was it? A 10-year, 8-year deal, 10-year deal, whatever it was. Like,
Yeah,
dude clearly cares more about like, hey, get me my contract so I can be locked in and I can just worry about playing. Let my agent take care of things. I don't have to worry about it.
and
Uh,
just a guy like Tyreek Hill a couple years ago being so abstinent about not signing some sort of restructuring deal, and freeing up money for his team, even when he goes and does it in Miami. He's not that type of player, and we know he never will be. We have the perfect situation in all of football, and everybody's jealous.
we do. Now there's Kid Chiefs Twitter goes a little nuts over one or two of these players that we've talked about. And I really don't want to touch on them too much more because the Chiefs are showing us exactly where they sit on both of these players, Odell Beckham Jr. and DeAndre Hopkins.
It's
Okay.
still a chance.
Is there a chance? Sure. What I'd like to say is D Hop is probably 98% of the way out. I would say 90%, 98% not happening. Why is that? Number one, you have to give up draft capital for a 31-year-old who, over the last two seasons, has only played half the season. That's just, again, we've covered that a little bit. It's the age thing. Veach is clearly showing us there's a direction that he likes to go in, and that old of a veteran is not the guy he likes to go to.
There's still time.
The other thing that he that Veach is showing us with this is, like I said, we have 10 million in cap space. There's some moves to be made, but let's take a visit down memory lane. The Chiefs kind of have some. The Chiefs as a whole, like as an organization and owners, have a little bit of PTSD with kicking the can down the road and giving players voidable years on their contracts. L or i.e. John Dorsey picking up a big contract on Justin Houston
John Dorsey.
and some of the other guys that he signed to massive contracts with voidable years. It really capped what the Kansas City Chiefs could do during certain portions of years and really over an era as a whole with John Dorsey at the helm. It really handicapped the team. They don't want to be stuck in a position where, number one, the Hunt family has to escrow money for what's going to be voidable anyways, and on top of that, take away like what win mode is not, or win now mode is not. Like the Chiefs are not in win now mode. We are in win every single year mode. Why would we handicap ourselves for 3 remaining years for just one ring? If you have to make the moves that have to be made, kicking the can down the road, obviously on Patrick's deal, but he's going to get that money regardless. And you can continue to kick it down the road because the cap space there is going to go up. But if you start restructuring deals for guys who are role players or who are on the back ends of their contracts, and you push that down 2-3 years just to sign a guy who's 31 and going to play you 9 games to pay him $20 million in a season, that's not a smart move. Veach knows that. The Hunt family knows that. That's why DeAndre Hopkins isn't happening. There's a collective multitude of things. They are not going to restructure and put the organization in cap hell to bring in a guy who's plays for one full season, 2 full seasons. and handicap us in other areas where we can't fill out a roster. Now, you want to talk about OBJ? I think that's probably
I don't want him.
90% out of the way. Not 98, but 90, because they clearly didn't value Juju at $11 million a year. They didn't value Adam Thielen at whatever he was valued at and got his contract at. And that dude is clearly on something for thinking the Panthers are going to win a Super Bowl at any point in time in his tenure there. So like we're going in a different direction. I would like to say this is there's a plan out there. I don't think it's relying on the draft. We know that Veach and Andy Reid very much enjoy themselves some veterans. Now, we do have Marquez Valdez Scantling, who you know I'm not a fan of. I think there's a veteran trade out there. I'm not privy to the knowledge of who it may be, and they're not going to be in their 30s. They're not going to be in their third or fourth contract. But I bet you there's somebody young out there. Maybe a team wants to walk away from them because they don't necessarily want to pay them. I don't know if it would be the likes of like an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Justin Jefferson, given how much money that would garner them and the assets that would have to be given up. But I would say look for somebody in that age range. I think there is a plan in place. I think there's conversations happening behind the scenes, and I think there is a trade imminent, either right before or during the draft for the Kansas City Chiefs.
It would be a huge bomb dropped if it was involving that first round draft pick. But that's some that's some deep thinking there, Ty
Honestly,
Bob.
wouldn't even be surprised if it was to trade up and have two first round picks. I don't think, to bring in one, a position piece that is absolutely needed, plus somebody who would be considered our number one wide receiver. I don't think that is plan A. It's definitely plan B. I think plan A is they've got a couple of guys who they're thinking about on other teams that they'll be trading for. I would even go as far to say as DJ Moore was probably a conversational piece inside the Kansas City Chiefs organization prior to him being moved to the Bears for the number one overall pick.
That's it's a good possibility there. I don't want OBJ. If there was some way to pull off the D Hop deal that made sense, I would like it done. But we also got to factor in we still haven't re-signed Chris Jones.
If we do re-sign Chris Jones, that does move around caps. That would actually clear up some cap space for this year, depending on the deal, obviously. But extending Chris Jones would create some cap space for the 2023-2024 season.
So is he still on the team then? Like is he still under
He's got a
contract?
contract. Yeah, he's got a contract.
I thought that
This
was
is
his
the
final year.
this is the final season of his deal.
I see. Okay.
So they could potentially. Obviously, they're having talks, but it's possible that the deal gets done this year. It's possible that they franchise tag him next year. It's possible that we get a deal done right after the season. We'll have to wait and see. But if it does get done now, uh, there will be cap space made.
Hmm. I for some reason I thought he needed to be signed or he was a free agent. And he wants to be a chief for life. So there was
That's what he
only
said.
one possibility.
That is what he said. Um, Outside of departures, obviously, we didn't want to bring back old Jet. We're gonna hopefully that means we're bringing back the other Jet, Jet McKinnon. But we did let McCole Hardman walk. I'm not upset about that. That again goes at like, guys, there's stuff going on behind the scenes that nobody knows what's going on. We were comfortable with letting Juju walk for 11. We were comfortable letting McCole Hardman go at 6.5 mil. Obviously, to us 9 to 5ers, that's a lot of money. But for the Chiefs organization, for an NFL organization, that's not a lot. 6.5 mil, and it's probably incentive laden. I bet you his base is no more than 3.
Yeah, it said he had a chance to make like 6.5.
I guarantee you
It's
his base is probably at two between 2 and 2.5. I guarantee that.
and it's an odd move to me for McColl because the Jets are crowded at receiver kind of right now.
I think McColl has somebody got in McColl's ear. Somebody got in McColl's ear was like, "Hey man, you need to sit down and you need to listen." And he did, and he realized through whoever sat down and talked to him, I'm a gimmick guy. I'm a guy who needs to focus on gimmicky plays, being that guy who runs the jet sweeps, who runs the bubble routes, who does the special teams. I need to focus on these things, and maybe one day I'll be able to get my shot. But I had multiple chances at an organization with the best quarterback in the league, and just wasn't that guy. Wasn't anywhere near.
It sucks because I know what he can be, and having another dynamic receiver on the team really does help him. So he's now going into a really iffy quarterback situation.
They're going to have
Uh,
Rodgers. The deal's basically done.
is it though?
All for all intents and purposes, everybody says the deal between the Jets and Aaron is done. The holdup is currently the Packers and the Jets coming to terms. However, even more on the backside is everything's done. They're just waiting for the correct time, which that could be specifics set on um like when certain guarantees go in order, and if the pack like whatever the specifics are between the deal is Packers move on from him at a specific time so that they don't have to eat X amount, or that they do have to eat X amount and they're going to get more in some sort of capital from the Jets. I guarantee that's what the holdup is just certain release point in times, release dates, so that whatever the deal that was agreed upon has to hit correctly for that.
Well, even so, Aaron Rodgers in a new system, having to build chemistry with a bunch of new guys besides Alan Lazard. He's going to only want to throw to Alan Lazard every down out there. Not a good spot for McColl.
I don't even. I mean, does Alan Lazard even? You're right. That room is crowded. Does Alan Lazard even? He's not the number one. Does he
Aaron
even
Rodgers
make the
will
number
make
two?
him the number. Aaron Rodgers will put him on the field.
I think there are, while that is true in probably most places Aaron Rodgers would go to in the NFL, he would decide who goes where. Robert Sala's not that guy. Sala makes the decisions. His coaching staff makes the decisions. He doesn't get walked over. It doesn't matter who you are.
If Aaron wants to go there, if there's some sort of deal between the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, I feel like that's already been talked about, and Aaron has the leverage that he wants.
I
He's
think
not going
he
to go
has
to
a
a place where he's going to get walked all over.
no, it's not necessarily where he's walked all over, but I think there is some healthy give and take that Aaron may not have had at any point in his career until he got here. And Aaron may be trading a little bit of control if he does end up there for the ability to win if he can sit back, shut up, and play ball. And not in the terms of like what he does on his private life. He can speak about what he wants to, but when it comes to team decisions, he may have an influence on who his chemistry is with or plays to be run, because that's who he is. He's that veteran. He deserves that sort of intake. But when it comes to who plays, where they play, and when they play, in certain specific moments of the game, and who is better overall talented, like the coaching staff is probably going to make that decision based upon like, hey, Aaron, you're coming here to win because we have pieces. If you wanted control, your ass could have stayed in Green Bay, controlled and lost, which is what he's done. So I would feel fairly confident in that position.
I think Alan Lazard sees the field more than you think he's going to.
Well, I think he sees the field a lot. Like I said, I think he's probably going to be their number two. but he's just not going to be the number one. He's not Garrett Wilson.
But Aaron Rodgers thinks he's a Hall of Famer, and he's going to throw him. He's going to force feed
No,
him the ball.
Aaron Rodgers is a druggie.